when I first came here with Danny Wimmer, we were learning about bourbon. I didn't even like bourbon. And Marty and Mike, I tell the story every time, and then I'll retire it, but Marty and Mike, who are the very first two people in the city to embrace us, were with me when I ordered vodka tonic. They immediately hauled my butt to this place, where Whiskey Jean, where are you, Whiskey Jean? Whiskey Jean did a tasting for me, and I discovered Evan Williams Black. And that was my introduction to bourbon, and I have never looked back since. Bourbon and Beyond exceeded our every wish. We think it was a great success for a first-year festival. The partnerships with the bourbon, with the restaurants, with the community have just been terrific. And obviously Bourbon and Beyond is coming back.
John, I think the whole bourbon movement on a scale of 1 to 10, we're still at around 2, 2.5. I mean, it's got a lot of legs in front of it. And when you think about the growth of bourbonism, in 2011, there were 0 distillery experiences in our city. 0. Today, 9 are either open, under construction, or have been announced. We're just getting started. Okay, thanks everybody. Congratulations.
You know, make no mistake, music festivals like Bourbon Beyond and Louder Than Life, they put Louisville on the national and international stage. You know, bourbon, as the mayor said, it's a core part of the core fabric of our destination. Bourbon and Beyond and Louder Than Life shine the spotlight of Louisville's bourbon culture and the other both locals and visitors to the opportunity to this authentic experience.
And to see this come together has been very exciting. For us, I know I can speak for the restaurant community, this has been huge. People come to drink bourbon and listen to music, and then they also want to eat places. So we have, as we know, we're very proud of our restaurant community. So it's been great to see the economic impact that it does to the restaurant scene. So Kentucky has given back to us as they're doing to these festivals, as they're doing to the bourbon community. It's been great to watch this grow and be part of it. When you think about this, what brings it all together is the craftsmanship, the art of music, the art and craftsmanship of being patient and waiting for the bourbon to be ready. That takes time. So that takes patience, that's passion. The same thing that we do as chefs and musicians and all the art fields. So to bring it all together is really exciting.
Everybody likes it when I come to the podium because they know they get to drink. So I want to take you back for a moment to the 1970s and 1980s. Bourbon was dead. No one cared about it. Vodka, tequila, rum, Scotch, cognac, they were doing well. But bourbon got no marketing dollars from their parent companies. But a lot of people had passion and a vision for bourbon to continue. One of those people helped create this place, the Evan Williams Bourbon Experience. His name was Harry Shapiro. He also created Heaven Hills. His vision was the Heaven Hill Visitor Center in Bardstown. And he's somebody who had the vision for things like Bourbon and Beyond. He saw past the stagnant sales, the case sales of the 80s, and he saw the growth potential coming from overseas. And he believed in tourism, and he believed in the potential. So I think Heaven Hill, brands like this who help bring bourbon back. And now we're able to celebrate things like Bourbon and Beyond, which in the 1980s was unfathomable. Nobody cared about bourbon back then. Today, the master distillers actually have billing over real rock stars. Think about that for a second. We've always said master distillers are rock stars. Today, Fred Noe had billing over like Stevie Nicks last year. Like, people, to put that into perspective, that's what bourbon has always wanted. And today we can look at the numbers and talk about the numbers. It's an $8.5 billion industry. There's more than 17,000 jobs here. They export more than $1 billion. But the numbers only tell part of the story. And people behind the scenes have a passion for this industry that goes back generations and generations. And not many people from the outside have cared a lot about bourbon to the point where they want to help. A lot of people come to bourbon and say, hey, can you sponsor this? Can you do this? These guys actually saying, how can we help you? And I want to put this into perspective from a simple pouring, which is, when you take a bottle and you do that. It's a measurement in the drinks business. Case sales is how they measure volume. Between Louder Than Life and Bourbon and Beyond, they poured 600 cases of bourbon. 600 cases. That makes them the largest volume bourbon festival in the world. And I believe the largest volume spirits festival in the world. And to place that in terms of the responsibility arm, that's 100,000 pours, and it basically comes out to 1 drink a day per person. So this isn't like people are going and consuming 5 shots at a time or anything. This is responsibility, and they practice responsibility throughout these festivals. That's something that's very important to them. And they're continuing that this year and next year and the years beyond, because they believe in the community. They believe in bourbon and the growth of bourbon and what it means to Kentucky. Think about it. I'm able to write books about bourbon. I make my living by writing about bourbon. That was unheard of, from the 60s through the 80s. And now we have the Louisville Courier-Journal, who has a beat writer covering bourbon. Bailey does a very good job, by the way. We have people opening distilleries in places like Boone County. Raise your hand, Boone County. They're opening distilleries in Boone County, which was really an area that after Prohibition did not recover. We have families coming back into the bourbon business after almost 100 years. Peerless Distillery, raise your hand. Bringing their family back into the business. We have all women distilleries coming into the game. Where's Jeff DeCreed? Right way back there, Jeff DeCreed. They're out there off of in Shelbyville. So you have all of this growth, more than $1 billion, $1 to $2 billion of investment from the large distilleries, from the smaller distilleries, coming into Kentucky. $1 to $2 billion of investment in this state from bourbon and other distilleries. And what these distilleries are doing is bourbon-centric, but they're also making vodka. They're also producing barrels. The bourbon barrels are then sent to Scotland and to Mexico and to Barbados and Jamaica to be reused again. So this is definitely the bourbon capital of the world, but it's also the spirit capital of the world. Kentucky, especially Louisville, touches every major spirit category in the world. If it was not for Louisville and for Kentucky, I don't know how good Scotch would taste, because it starts in bourbon barrels, right? And when I look to the future of what these guys are bringing to the table for bourbon, I am so excited, because there comes a point with everything that it just hits a ceiling. And if bourbon does not focus on how to get fringe consumers, if it just focuses on the people who have been there the whole time, they're going to start losing market share to rum, to tequila, to Scotch. Because I guarantee you, right now, every one of them are sitting in boardrooms saying, how can we get bourbon consumers? Go down to a Scotch row in Liquor Barn and look at all the terminology that they're using from bourbon brands. They're using words like small batch and American oak and bourbon barrels. You're seeing that in every spirits category, because they're trying to pull away from what the bourbon brands have done. And so if bourbon does not continue to have its foot on the pedal for marketing purposes, then it will lose market share. And it is because of events like Bourbon and Beyond and Danny Wimber Presents that it's not going to go away. They're going to put that foot on the pedal, and it's going to be amazing over the next 10 years. And this is the kind of effort that it takes to continue the growth and continue the billions of dollars of investments into Kentucky. So I will slow it down for a second. Everybody grab your glass. In the 1700s, Louisville found its whiskey legs. In the 1800s, Louisville thrived with Whiskey Row. In the 1900s, Louisville was a bourbon juggernaut. Today, Louisville is bourbonism. Today, Louisville is the spirit capital of the world. To Louisville. Cheers.
Cheers.